Today we're diving into a question I hear all the time. Is he really a narcissist or just emotionally immature? And more importantly, what does it mean for your heart, your happiness, and your feminine power when you find yourself entangled with such a man? Welcome back, my darlings. Hi, I'm Vanessa, founder of Feminine Spaces, a sanctuary for women over 40 who are deepening their relationship wisdom, self-mastery, and conscious living. So let's get into the topic of the week. This is such a powerful conversation because so many women label their partner narcissist, when sometimes what's really happening is emotional immaturity. And sometimes, it's definitely narcissism. Knowing the difference between the two, it's how you can reclaim your peace and make your choices that honor your self-worth. So, what is a narcissist? Okay, that's your definition. Let's begin with clarity, because the word narcissist gets thrown around so often today that it's almost lost its meaning. But to truly heal and understand your relationships, you need to know the specific traits. Here are 9 core psychological traits of narcissism. Okay, grandiosity, an inflated sense of self-importance, expecting admiration without achievement to back it up. There's also the aspect of lack of empathy, unable or unwilling to recognize or care about the feelings of others and yourself. There's gaslighting, which is something we're familiar with because it's about manipulating you into doubting your reality, your memory, or sanity. Then there's love bombing. Then de-evaluation. That means showering you with praise and love and affection to hook you. Then tearing you down for them to feel powerful. Then there's exploitation, using others for personal gain without guilt or remorse. And then there's entitlement, believing the rules don't apply to them, demanding special treatment. Are you reviewing the catalog of friends you have, or family members, or past lovers, or current? Because then rage when boundaries are set, reacting aggressively, or withdrawing love as a punishment. Lack of accountability. It's never apologizing sincerely, always shifting blame. Why is this important? Because control through fear or charm is a thing. Either intimidation or charisma used to dominate you. And then, of course, from our spiritual perspective, narcissists live disconnected from the soul, their essence. They operate from ego survival, not love. So they're using external validation as their only fuel. And I'm going to do a quick overview again because it's important for you to have clarity before we jump on to the next. So how about clearly defining narcissism? Okay? Clinically, narcissism is rooted in a personality disorder, right? It's recognized by patterns of grandiosity, lack of empathy, and a constant need for admiration. It's not just confidence. It's manipulation, entitlement, and using others as extensions of themselves. Does that make sense? Because narcissists rarely self-reflect. Everything is filtered through, what do I get out of this? Yeah. So Psychological traits could be something like gaslighting, which is twisting the reality, and then love bombing, which is followed by de-evaluation of you. Exploitative relationships, which means lack of accountability and rage when boundaries are set. And then it's the spiritual lens, right? Because narcissists are so disconnected from soul energy. They feed off of external validation instead of divine connection, which means they're using you as fuel. So now let's go to what is emotional immaturity, because it's so important to understand the contrast between narcissism and emotional immaturity, which can sometimes look similar, but comes from very different places. How do you define missing qualities? Let's define the missing qualities. Emotional regulation, the ability to notice, manage, and calm your emotions instead of exploding or withdrawing or projecting them onto the other person because they can't process themselves. Empathy, the capacity to step into someone else's experience, to feel with them and not just for them. Then there's accountability. It's the willingness to own mistakes and change behavior without defensiveness. Side note, come over here. Side note, accountability is paramount to self-mastery. And self-mastery is one of the 3 pillars to feminine spaces. If you don't know how or why if you don't know the how or the why to what you're doing, how are you going to change behavior? Okay, we're back. Let's go back to the regularly scheduled program. Let's talk about the difference between stunted and, stunted. A stunted man is emotionally frozen at a younger age. He never developed the tools to process pain, communicate feelings, or resolve conflict. He may want to love better, but lacks the maturity. So the difference between malicious versus stunted is that malicious is narcissism. He knows he's manipulating and does it for control and power. Stunted is immature. He avoids or deflects, not to hurt you, but because he can't handle his or her own discomfort. Now, Arrested Development was a popular TV show in my youth, and this is what it's defined as. It's a halted emotional growth, often in adolescence, where coping mechanisms never matured. And this is why parental modeling matters. If parents didn't model healthy expressions, for example, it's okay to cry, or I made a mistake. More importantly, I'm sorry. Children grow into adults who fear vulnerability. In adulthood, this leads to shutting down in conflict, stonewalling, passive aggressiveness, or outbursts instead of calm communication. What does emotional immaturity look like? What are the actions that human beings take? A man who never learned the tools for emotional regulation, empathy, or accountability, he isn't malicious. He's just stunted, right? Traits include avoiding hard conversation, withdrawing when emotions arise, defensiveness, blaming, and escapism, which goes into like work or alcohol or distractions like gaming. What is the psychological root of these actions? They often come from arrested development in childhood, parents who didn't model healthy emotional expressions, which I explained before. So you have like a basic overview, right? So again, he may want to do better, but he lacks the capacity or the willingness to grow. What's the difference? Narcissism equals intentional exploitation. Immaturity equals incapacity. Let's dive into the pain points of being in such a relationship. So what happens when you love a man who is narcissistic or emotionally immature? The pain points arise slowly, almost invisibly, until one day you look in the mirror and no longer recognize yourself. So what does that look like in your relationships? You have emotional roller coasters. You question your sanity. One day you're adored, the next day discarded. Then there's a loss of self-worth, constantly managing his moods while ignoring your needs. Then you self-isolate. These relationships often pull you away from your friends and your family. I know this one. You're constantly walking on eggshells. Fear of setting them off, so you shrink your truth. That spiritual disconnection, you stop hearing your inner voice, your intuition, because his becomes louder. Now think about how do pain points arise, because you begin by excusing his behavior. He's just stressed. Then you adjust yourself to keep the peace. Over time, you stop speaking your truth. You're doubting your worth, and you're isolated for any type of support. This is how the slow erosion of self happens. Here are two little stories, like examples, for you to see what it looks like in action in a relationship today. Let's talk with Maria. At first, her partner adored her, texting her constantly. 6 months in, criticism began. Her laugh was too loud. Her friends weren't classy enough. She stopped going out. She shrank her joy to avoid conflict. 3 years later, she realized she hadn't danced, which was her favorite thing to do in years. See yourself? Okay, what about Elaine's story? Her partner wasn't cruel. He just shut down every emotional conversation. When she cried, he turned on the TV. When she asked for connection, he said, "Girl, you're too much." Over time, she stopped asking. She convinced herself she was needy. But deep down, she was starving for intimacy. So, why do we as women choose these men? Here's the hard truth. None of us consciously choose pain, but subconsciously, many women are drawn into these dynamics because they echo familiar patterns. Think about it. Childhood conditioning. Love linked to chaos feels like home. Trauma bonding, yes. The cycle of highs and lows create chemical addictions. And then there's that empathy overload. Believing your love, that love can heal him. And then the social scripts, being taught to nurture, to fix, or to tolerate, rather than to choose wisely from the get. And then there's that spiritual layer. These men are teachers for us. They mirror where our boundaries, our self-worth, and feminine authority need strengthening. One more time. I think it's important to review these things and have a psychological perspective, because then you can double down on how to get out of this, right? So again, it's childhood conditioning. If you grew up with emotionally unavailable or critical caregivers, Chaos feels like home. Trauma bonding. Intermittent reinforcements makes you addicted to the cycle of highs and lows. We're meant to be right here on the regular. And then there's empathy overload. Women with deep compassion, we think we can heal him. And then there's social conditioning. Many women are taught to fix men rather than to choose men who are already whole from the go. In our spiritual perspective, these men, they're mirrors of us. They show us where we lack boundaries, self-worth, and inner authority. Now, that leads you to how to get out of this and heal. Leaving and healing isn't just about exiting a relationship. It's about reclaiming your nervous system, your mind, and your soul. What do those emotional benefits look like? You have relief from walking on eggshells. Peace, girl, peace in your body. And there's also a return to joy. The psychological benefits is rebuilding trust in your own perception, restoring your self-worth, breaking the trauma bond. How do we do that? Well, here are 5 steps to start you on your path to getting out and healing. 1, it's radical self-awareness. Come on, girl. Call it what it is. Narcissism or immaturity, neither of those are your responsibility to fix. Boundaries are sacred. No negotiations with abuse. 3 is reclaim your nervous system. Healing means soothing your body from the trauma of constant adrenaline and cortisol. Therapy and sisterhood. Girl, this is why I created Feminine Spaces. Go get professional help. And feminine community is essential. You need spaces where you're believed, not gaslit. Step number 5, forgiveness to him, for yourself, to release the shame of staying as long as you did. This is how you begin stepping into your feminine confidence and your power after releasing that shame. This final step is not about him, it's about you. Healing is not just survival, it's reclamation. You get to rise softer, wiser, radiant in your feminine essence. Feminine soft power is about choosing, shining, embodying love without chasing or shrinking. Feminine soft power, it's not weakness, girl. It's the radiant confidence of a woman who knows her worth. You don't chase, you choose. You don't shrink, you shine. You don't beg for love, you embody love. Ooh, what are some practical applications that you can use starting today? Say a daily affirmation. Say it. My truth is sacred. My heart is sovereign. Self-mastery is learning and then knowing to trust and believe in yourself. Use embodied practices like dancing. It gets you reacquainted with yourself, with your body. You connect to who you are. Journaling. Write your thoughts, your feelings, and breakthroughs because it offers 3 things: a timeline of events and a place to mark the experience, and a clear account of the outcome. Also, you know I love me some mirror work. I love me some mirror work. You want to know why? Because it's you and you alone, darling. You got no place to hide. You got no place to hide. You got no place to hide. So you got to face yourself. solve the problem, or correct the behavior and go on to live your magical life. Then there's breath work. That breath work, it gets you centered. It gets you connected and fully aligned with yourself. And here, you know what? I am team you all day long. Make sure to create a new love standard. Write down the traits you now require: emotional availability, empathy, and accountability. Think of a psychological reinforcement can be a confident woman retrains her brain to recognize calm. Steady love is exciting. It's not boring. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, my darlings, the truth is this: whether he's a narcissist or just emotionally immature, the cost is the same. You lose yourself, but you also have the power to return home to yourself, to walk away, to heal, to rise softer, wiser, stronger, and to embody your feminine power in so many ways that no other man can ever diminish you. Thank you, my darling, for spending this sacred time with me. If today's video stirred something in your spirit, let it be more than inspiration. Let it be a gentle invitation back to yourself. Now, you be sure to subscribe. Share it with all the women in your life, because God knows we all need it. And leave a comment below, because I love hearing from you. Give me questions, give me comments, give me assessments of yourself. I love to share. And remember, you are not too late. You're not too much, and never too far gone. Here in Feminine Spaces, we rise in beauty, truth, and grace together. Because when a woman is in her feminine essence, she is undeniable. Until next time, stay soft, stay rooted, and stay sovereign. Pussly puss.